I'm ready. I'm gonna upset the world.
There's a fundamental difference between me and Jake. He's a manufactured killer. Television and papers made him a killer. He's manufactured. I'm a natural-born killer.
Mike Tyson just reacted, or should I say straight up laughed, at Jake Paul's latest training footage. Honestly, it's almost painful to watch Paul work out like a clueless kid trying to lift dumbbells for the first time. Can you believe it?
His head is up when he's punching.
Same thing. Yeah, 1, 2. There you go.
Good.
With just 2 days left until the fight, he's out here fumbling with the most basic weights, looking more like a fitness influencer than a serious fighter.
Exciting, and there's not as much glitz and glamour around it anymore, and I would say this is the hardest camp. Just sparring 300-pound guys.
Maybe, just maybe, if Jake had spent more time focusing on real training instead of vlogging every move for his followers, the situation might be different. But hey, it's too late to cry over spilled milk now. The clock is ticking and Tyson is ready to unleash punches that could rattle bones. Jake better brace himself because there's no turning back. The only thing waiting for him in that ring is a savage Tyson beatdown.
Doing the jogs, weighing 220 pounds, all the miles, all the work at the track is a lot more difficult than running around weighing 205 pounds. So this is definitely the hardest I've pushed myself mentally.
Jake Paul is at it again, and this time he's really outdone himself. We're just days away from November the 15th, 2024, when he steps into the ring with the living legend Mike Tyson. And you have to wonder, what on earth is this guy thinking? Jake Paul is out here acting like a social media influencer who stumbled into a real fight. Seriously, if anyone needed a reminder that clout chasing has its limits, here we are. Mike Tyson, he's pushing 60, but you'd never guess it watching him prepare. His training regime is flat out ridiculous. Early morning road work, 6-hour sessions, and the kind of strength conditioning that would break your average gym bro in half.
He's a cold-blooded assassin. He's a machine.
There you go.
And Jake has not come up against that. It's a dark place in there, that ring. A lot of things can happen.
Tyson's doing squats, resistance training, explosive lunges, transforming his legs into sledgehammers. And the way he throws those legendary left hooks? Yeah, still as vicious as ever, still capable of making grown men cower. You can tell Tyson isn't taking this as some exhibition. To him, it's about preserving his legacy. It's about showing that you don't mess with a predator and expect a soft landing. There's no fluff in Tyson's camp, no distractions, just raw, brutal preparation.
Mike is the baddest man on the planet. Raphael is the baddest trainer on the planet.
You can see.
When I put Jake in deeper waters, where let's make you feel uncomfortable the beginning to the end of the fight.
Now flip the script to Jake Paul. This guy honestly believes he can fake his way through this one. His training footage, pure comedy. Watching him swing at air with the confidence of a TikTok star who thinks he's Muhammad Ali is almost painful. The man's been struggling to cut down from 220 pounds to 205, and he's doing it like a college kid crash dieting before summer break. While Tyson's body is a fortress, built and rebuilt through decades of pain and sacrifice, Jake's biggest struggle is balancing his ego with reality. He's been touting his grueling training schedule, and yet somehow, he's also promoting his new clothing line. Talk about priorities. If selling merch is on your to-do list before facing one of the most dangerous men in history, you've got problems.
But I know that come fight night, it's going to be the old Mike Tyson, the warrior Mike Tyson, getting back to doing what he does best, which is annihilate people. When you've done that for so long, it's going to be second nature for him when the bell rings.
Jake's idea of sacrifice is laughable. He talks about taking a month off after his last fight like it's supposed to impress us. Tyson must be rolling his eyes. In his prime, Tyson's sacrifices meant years of grueling, soul-crushing training camps, giving up everything to become the beast he was.
And so he needed a break. And so we took a month off, got right back in there, and now we're getting ready for Mike. And we're not as heavy as we were before, which is a plus for us. I didn't want us to go back up, but you can guarantee he's gonna be ready to fight.
Jake, he can't decide if he wants to be a boxer or a businessman. His training camp is half focused, half influencer hustle, complete with brand partnerships and Instagram-ready workout clips. This is the guy who thinks he can hang with Tyson, a man who used to make opponents regret being born? Please, let's not ignore the sheer delusion here. Jake's been parading around, dropping lines about how he's built differently, more like built for clickbait. Tyson had to earn every ounce of respect in blood and sweat. Meanwhile, Jake's path has been paved with YouTube drama and staged pranks. He's famous for being famous, not for any real earned skill. And while Tyson is destroying sparring partners, guys who probably need counseling after feeling his punches, Jake is trying to look menacing in front of a camera.
Like, oh, Jake gets hit with a bare knuckle of Mike Tyson, this thing's over. And I saw Mike Tyson on an interview with Henry Cejudo. He's like, what is age? They tell you you're that old, but I don't feel 50. You're like, oh, okay, this is it.
But perhaps the funniest part of all this, Jake genuinely believes he's a threat. You can see it in his carefully curated training clips, where he flails his arms and acts like he's rewriting the book on boxing. His coaches hype him up, but deep down you have to wonder if they even believe it. Tyson's been openly mocking Jake's delusions. The way Mike sees it, this isn't a challenge, it's a side hustle. He's going to walk in there, handle his business, and walk out while Jake Paul tries to figure out what hit him. The age difference? Irrelevant. Because Tyson's power doesn't age. His presence alone is enough to send shivers down spines. Meanwhile, Jake's brand of intimidation is about as convincing as a child wearing his dad's work boots.
You've had a chance to assess Jake Paul. What do you think of his boxing ability?
I think he's came a long way from YouTube. And listen, I seen a YouTube of him at 16 doing weird dances. That's not the guy I'm going to be fighting. This guy's going to come, he's going to try to hurt me, which I'm accustomed to, and he's going to be greatly mistaken.
Jake Paul must think he's something special, right? After all, this guy has managed to transform himself from a YouTube nuisance to a, well, let's just say a wannabe boxer with way too much hype. And Mike Tyson's seen enough young clowns in boxing to know who's real and who's just faking it for views and likes. Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, watched Jake Paul's last training video, and you can almost hear the eye roll in his reaction. Sure, he begrudgingly acknowledges that Paul's made some improvements, but that's like congratulating a goldfish for learning how to swim. Tyson couldn't care less about Jake's transformation from YouTube jokester to self-proclaimed fighter. To him, Jake's just a guy trying desperately to play tough in a world that doesn't have time for fakes. Jake's biggest sin? Thinking he can step into a ring with Tyson and come out with anything other than a shattered ego and probably a broken face.
I love you, man. And boxing thanks you for all you've brought to the sport. You're an icon, you're a legend. I look up to you, I'm inspired by you, and I know you're gonna bring an amazing fight and put it all on the line, but no matter what you do, you can't beat me.
Mike Tyson, even at 58, is still training like a possessed beast. While Jake's out there posing for Instagram selfies and hyping up his latest cringeworthy business ventures, Tyson's putting in real work. Road work at dawn, gym sessions that turn grown men into puddles, strength conditioning that would make your average fitness influencer cry. Tyson doesn't do things halfway. His whole life has been about pure, brutal dedication. Not whatever watered-down version of boxing Jake Paul thinks he's mastered. Tyson's punches still sound like thunder, and his sparring partners, yeah, they leave the gym with newfound respect for pain.
And with the utmost respect, I'm gonna f you up.
Now let's roast Jake for a moment because he deserves every bit of it. This guy actually thinks he can rely on his supposed stamina to outlast Tyson. Oh, the delusion. The experts have chimed in and the verdict is harsh. Teddy Atlas has already pointed out that Jake's only shot is to pray Tyson gets tired. Because if Tyson doesn't slow down, Jake's getting folded. That's not a strategy, that's a desperate hope, the kind that only an overconfident fool would put his faith in. Tyson's power isn't a joke, and even Joe Rogan can't stop talking about how terrifying those punches still are. If Jake doesn't take it seriously, he's going to find himself on the wrong end of a viral knockout, one that won't look good on TikTok.
I train every day.
Okay, how many hours a day you training?
I take it serious, listen. Well, listen, it's the whole day. The process goes through the whole day. I get up in the morning, do the road work, then I go to the gym at 1, then I go to the strength and conditioning guy, then it starts all over again.
But let's get real. Jake Paul can't even pretend he's not terrified. You think Tyson doesn't notice that fear? Russell Crowe, yes, the Russell Crowe, who has at least played a fighter on screen, knows that Jake's bravado is just that. Crowe can't imagine Jake lasting 8 rounds with a legend like Tyson. Roy Jones Jr. tries to be nice about it. He'll admit Jake's better than he used to be. But let's not get carried away. Better doesn't mean ready. Jake's skills are child's play compared to Tyson's decades of in-the-trenches experience. It's like comparing a plastic sword to a battle-hardened warrior. Jake's improved, sure, but he's still light years away from being anything Tyson would consider a worthy opponent. And the best part? Tyson's sarcasm isn't even subtle. He's practically laughing at how pathetic Jake's journey looks next to his own. Tyson lost more battles, suffered more pain, and came back from more brutal defeats than Jake could even imagine. But Jake Paul? He's too busy pretending to be a fighter, treating boxing like it's another brand-building venture, when really, it's a sport that eats pretenders alive. Tyson knows this, and he knows Jake is in for the reality check of a lifetime.